Hello everyone, this is Saurav Maurya and once welcome you all in Linguality Capital. Dear friends, today we have the new term that is Pidgin and Creole. The term Pidgin and Creole belongs to the sociolinguistics belongs to the sociolinguistics. When do we talk about the sociolinguistics? At first, we should know that what is the sociolinguistics. As per name, socio and linguistics, we can assume its definitions by its name that the branch of the linguistics that deals with the social phenomena and as well as the language means that it deals with the relationship between the language and the society, and we can also say that it examines the social factors that influences the language and how does it affect the language and how does it affect to our society. Okay, so the language has always been the struggle for the us means that when a new baby come when a new baby come in this world, then he uses the sign language. At first he uses the sign language means that he tried to use to indicate the language that he want to say in his own, I mean from his mind. But when do we talk about the language struggle, we can see here that there are the many stages for this child, like the cooing stage, like the babbling stage, holophrastic stage. Means in every stage of his life we can see the changes of his language. Okay, so in the same way so, in the same way, we have to struggle for the language over the period of the time. Like when do we talk about the, just old English period? When do we talk about the old English period? Old English period. In that time, there was the only normal English. Yeah, there was the general English. Also we can say the people of that era used to old English dialect. Okay, but when there became the changes, when there was the war of the Norman conquest, when there was the war of the Norman conquest, then we can find here that the war of the Norman conquest was between the king of Normandy, yeah, the Duke of the Normandy, who was the sorry, William first William first, and second, the war was between the William first and the King Harold, who was the king of the Old English period, Anglo-Saxons period, and he was the last king of the Anglo-Saxons period. Okay, who was the King Harold. What was the conflictions of the language? Just I want to show you here. King Harold. Okay, King Harold was the king of the Anglo-Saxons period. He was the last dynasty of the Anglo-Saxons period, and William first was the king, duke of the Normandy. The the language that belongs to the Duke of the Normandy was the Norman French. Norman French. Okay, while the language of the King Harold, Anglo-Saxon, Old English period, that was the Old English dialect. Old English dialect. Okay, next we talk about that when there was a war between the William first and the King Harold, then the result of that war was that King Harold was defeated by the William first, who was the king or the Duke of the Normandy. Okay, so there was all the assassins of the William first was on the Anglo-Saxons period. Anglo-Saxons country, we can say here. So when actually there was the language of the no- Norman French, Norman French, and the language of the Old English dialect. Old English dialect. Actually, the people who belongs to the Normandy, they used to speak the Norman French, and the people who belongs to the Anglo-Saxon periods dynasty, the language from the that people belongs to, was the old normal old English dialect. So here we can find that actually whenever the people of the Normandy have to try, talk to these peoples, then they have to face the struggle of the language. This is what I want to show you, that how the language has always been the dispute and the struggle for us. Yeah. In the same way, actually at that time we can see here that there was no any such a special language so that they might talk to each other. Means that both the parties must have the common language so that they talk to each other. But here we can see that they didn't have any special language, so they had to struggle. Yeah. The term Pidgin and Creole belongs to the same phenomena. When we talk about the Pidgins and the Creole language, then the Pidgin and the Creole language means is that according to him, we can see that according to him, before the 1930, Pidgins and the Creole were largely ignored by the linguists and said to be the marginal language. In the sense, we can see here that before the 1930, there were no any Pidgin's language, or there. If there were, then they don't. Accept it as the special language. We can say here. Okay, they just said this the marginal language, which was stand over the time. Okay, so Pidgin means, at first we should know that what is the Pidgin. Pidgin means there is a special language when there is a two people. We can I can so I'm showing here, if there is a two people, okay, two people, if they want to talk to each other, if they want to talk to each other, but they both the both the persons have the different language. This person has suppose that different language, and this person has a different language. But when they both of the parties have the different language, they both both the persons know their native language, so there is no any communications between them. But when there is any special language come here, any special language, then this special language applies on both the persons, so that they might talk to each other, and they might do business or trade or any kind of thing. It is assumed that the Pidgin language was at first used for the business purpose, for the trade purpose, or for the contact purpose, right? So, and also it was supposed to be that this language was first used by the Chinese people for the business purpose. Okay, so next we talk about the lingua franca. What is the lingua franca? Lingua franca means a pidgin and the creole arises from a basic need that people who speak different language have to find the common system of the communication. Such common system is known as the lingua franca or pidgin. Means that if there is a two persons and they don't have any the common language to talk or to communicate with each other, then if there is any possible language which is known to be the special language, then this is known to be the lingua franca. According to UNESCO, lingua franca is a language which is used habitually by people whose mother tongue are different in order to facilitate communication between them. Okay, as we know that we are Indians and our native tongue, my native tongue is Hindi. So we can see here that the Hindi is the official language and English is spoken in all kinds of ways. It is widely used as the lingua franca. Okay. Next one, this line is very important for us with the purpose of the net and get exams. Like Swahili is a lingua franca of the East of Africa. Okay, this question has been asked many times. Next, in North America, Chinook jargon. At first, we should know that what is the jargon. Jargon is a technical, or we can say jargon is a special word that are used by a group of, yeah, we can say by a particular group of the people. If there is any community, and in the community there are 4 to 5 or 6 or to 10 persons, and if these communities are using the suppose that the Hindi language and there is a community of the English language, then this community, if they are using the Hindi language, then they have the Hindi jargon and they have the English jargon. So in North America there was the Chinook jargon that was used extensively as a lingua franca during the second half of the 19th century. Today's Chinook jargon is virtual extinct, have been disappeared. Okay, so we talk about the Chinook jargon. Chinook jargon is basically a castle phenomena and plain sign language, means this was the language that was used on the castles. Okay, next, the as per we can say these were the intervals. Next, we talk about the definitions of the pidgin. When do we talk about the pidgin? A pidgin is a language with no native speakers, means a language that belongs to your mother tongue. This cannot be pidgin, this is only a Creole language. If any pidgin language is are being used by the native tongue of any persons, then that pidgin cannot be called the pidgin language, that is the Creole. Okay, it is no one's first language but is a content language. It is a product of the multilingual situation in which those who wish to communicate must find a simple code to enable them. Okay, so this is all about the pidgins, whatever have I discussed already. Next, according to Home, a pidgin is a reduced language that results from extended contact between groups of people with no language in common. It involves when they need some verbal communication for trade. Okay, the process of pidginization probably requires a situation that involves at least three languages, third of which is dominant for others. Means that actually two language means that first one and second one they have both the one language, and what is the third language that dominates both the parties? The third language is known to be the special language, and that is also known to be the pidgin. This is what the definitions of the pidgin according to the Home. Okay, if any two languages are involved, there is likely to be a direct struggle for a dominance, as between the English and the French in England after 106 LAD. I have discussed this point. When there is a war between the King Harold and the William I, that war is known to be the Norman conquest. Then the language of the French was by the William I and the English was the King Harold. When William I defeated the King Harold, the people from these countries have the common English language, and the people from the King of the Normandy, they have the Norman French language. So they had to, whenever they had to communicate, they had to struggle for the language. When three or the more languages are involved and one is the dominant, the speaker of the two are the more that are one inferior appear to play a critical role in the development of the pidgin. Already we have discussed these points. Next, we have the list of the some pidgin language which is important with the exam perspectives. First one is the pidgin Chinese. Pidgin, actually it is supposed to be that at first the Chinese people used the pidgin language, used a special language with the trade purpose. Okay, next one is the talk pidgin is today used as a unifying language among speakers of the many different languages in Papua New Guinea. And next point is that you should know about the Nigerian Pidgin, that Nigerian Pidgin is a kind of the bad English. Next one, we talk about the Creole language. Creole language means is that when a Pidgin language is used as a native tongue, then this language is known to be the Creole language. Means is that if you are speaking Hindi by your mother tongue, by the your I mean natives, then the Hindi is the Creole language. But when your mother tongue is Tamil and you are trying to learn Hindi to speak with the Indian, any Hindi person, yeah, or sorry, any English person, and that English person is trying to learn the Hindi, then whenever both the person meet with each other, then they try to communicate the Hindi language. Okay, so that is the Pidgin language. But when the Hindi is used from the your mother tongue and the persons you are talking, his also mother tongue is Hindi, then that is known to be the Creole. Okay, the process by which a Pidgin evolves into a Creole is called creolization. Means that when a Pidgin language is used by the native speakers, then this is known to be the Creole language, and this process is known as the creolization. The Pidgin and the Creole life cycle was first studied by American linguist Robert Hall in the 1960s. This was all about the Pidgin and the Creole language. I hope this video will help you much with your exam purpose and for the master's student also. If this video is good for you with the points of view, then please must subscribe and share as much as possible. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much.